Howdy! And welcome back to another video with Holly and Lori. So this is where we've been in Ukraine so far, what we've done, and what the plan was and is now with coronavirus, COVID-19 going on.
We got to Zaporozhye, which is the first city that we went to, and we met everybody, kind of started getting acclimated into it, and Holly and I loved it. Andre and Marina are the leaders of the Domik there. Domik means house in Ukrainian, and they're more like after school kind of a program for different orphans and orphanages in the area, or graduates,
which are people that have been through either an orphanage or program and have graduated and are now starting. And so that's another aim of PHA, is to help those graduates to kind of change the system, to get going and get a job and get a degree and continue in society instead of falling down a bad path.
Yeah.
And doing all of this while growing in Jesus.
Yes. And so for those of you also who don't know, orphanages here are, well, the people who are in orphanages here are more like the people that we would think of in foster care back in the States. So they have true orphans who have no living parents. Family. They have kids who the parents have had their rights taken away for various and sundry reasons.
Which we would think of foster kids, but those are just, they're orphans.
Yeah.
They don't have a place to go. They're orphans.
Yeah. And then they have people whose parents love them but might not necessarily have the financial means to take care of them or all of their siblings. So they will be in the orphanages like during the week and then get to go home on the weekends or holidays.
So orphanages here also act more like boarding schools.
Mm-hmm.
So within the orphanage, you have teachers and classes and boarding, housing.
Because school here is private. It's not public school. You have to pay to go to school. So if you're in an orphanage, school's provided.
So as we said, Andre and Marina are the Ukrainian partners in Zaporozhye. Their daughter is Tanya. They have two daughters, but one is another partner. Her name is Tanya. Her and her husband live in Kiev, and they just had a baby. We are so excited to go meet it one day, hopefully before we leave.
Yes.
But when we met her, she was pregnant and about to pop. So we only know her as pregnant, and we were looking at some pictures of her not pregnant.
It was very
and I said, Tanya, it's weird seeing you not pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but she is the person who met us when we, after the whole airport fiasco, when we got to Zaporozhye, she met us. She speaks English. She really is Superwoman because she stays in communication with Hayden and Chris and Christy and runs the social media most of the time. And her husband both speak English. And we got to meet him for a little bit before he had to go back and work. But she's amazing. We really, really love her, and we are so excited for her and her new family. So.
Yeah, because also through part of this too, Holly and I had to apply for a temporary residency for like a year, and so we had to get proper documentation for that. And government bureaucracy is government bureaucracy no matter where you go, so it's just complicated and
a pain.
So props to you, Tanya,
so
for
Tanya
doing that pregnant.
Did all of that for us. We would like walk in and she'd look at us and say, honestly, it would be easier if you just stayed here and let me handle it.
Mm-hmm.
So we would just stand there and she would be in like
speaking rapid fire Ukrainian,
Russian,
trying
whichever language they were speaking.
Working all of that out.
But it took us a few weeks, but we got all of our stuff and we love you, Tanya.
Yeah, you're great. Yeah, so Holly and I's main function in Zap was just to hang out with people. Twice a week, every week, they would have graduate meetings, which is what we would think of as like a youth group Devo kind of a situation. And so people would come in and we played a bunch of Uno. That's how Holly and I learned the colors and numbers in Russian.
We played Derdetrok, which means fool, and Lori and I were usually the fools.
It's a game that you would play with just
It's a
a
strategy
normal
game.
deck of cards, and yeah, it's just really hard.
We'll teach y'all Americans.
Yeah, the learning curve is pretty steep. But we played a bunch of Jenga as well, tried to muddle through using weird sign language and pointing at things and limited Russian and English.
Google Translate.
Google
which
Translate.
is not always accurate.
It is not, but it has become a very useful tool. But yeah, that was kind of our main function there. We also would attend lessons that they had for different classes at the orphanage that they work with in ZAP. And so they would have a group of, 7th graders. We worked with 7th grade, 8th grade, and 9th grade.
Mm-hmm. They would have, throughout the week, different grades come. After school, they would come to Domic and get a sandwich, get some food,
play
get some
ping pong,
tea, play games, and then Andre would give them a lesson. And so there were a few times that we were able to do the lesson. When Tanya was there, she was able to translate for us. And even Paulina did one time. So that was really neat to be able to hear some of the stories and talk to the kids from that orphanage. We were supposed to actually go into the orphanage and go into some of the classes and help with English or help with science. However, this was the beginning of Corona. So it really limited.
And
what
they
we
were having
doing.
a really bad cold and flu season. So there was one time when they brought half 7th graders and half 8th graders because the rest of their respective classes were sick. And so
they shut down the school for 2 weeks also because there were so many teachers sick. So just in general, it was a really bad sickness. And then after all the sickness ended, Corona started. So we'll get into how that has affected us
later.
But we were supposed to go to Domic about 4 to 5 times a week. And I think we usually went 2 or 3.
Yeah. And then through this too, we were also attending church with everyone on Sunday. And so in ZAP, Marina would cook a big lunch for the graduates afterwards too. So church started at 11, it ended at 1, and then we would all go to Domic, which is right across the street. They held church in a room in a soccer stadium for all of us American people. And so it was just really cool, again, just, to bond more, to have more traditional Ukrainian food.
All of that to say, Zaporozhye was amazing, and we made some really good friends. On the days where we didn't have, responsibilities, we would sometimes go with Andre to go shopping for the food that they store at Domic, or we helped out with chocolates for the birthday kids at the orphanage one time. Or Andre and Marina's other daughter, Paulina, is 14. She also speaks English. We would hang out with her and Zahar, who is a graduate. We went to a few sightseeing places with Paulina and Zahar. We went to a car museum with Andre. So we had some fun times also, just learning Ukrainian culture. And then we would have the times that we were working and being serious with the orphans and graduates and that type of thing.
And ZAP on Saturdays would have a orphanage from an hour out of town, hour and a half.
I don't remember kilometer-wise, but it took us an hour and a half to 2 hours to get there on the roads. We got to go see it one time. But some of the orphans from that orphanage would come. And
since they came from out of town so far, they would come and have a lesson, but then
make a whole day out of it. They would have a lesson, they would have some snacks, they would go do something fun in the city. So ice skating or rollerblading, or there's like a little party area that had trampolines and that type of thing. They took a photo shoot one time in the park for Women's Day. They just made it a really big deal whenever those kids would come, because it takes so long to get to the city. So it would be a whole day, and then they'd always take them to go eat somewhere very special. We had pizza one time. We had this fancy place that I got sushi at one time. It was very good. But that would be on Saturdays.
So something else we also wanted to say about Zap was that Andre and Marina definitely became almost like second parents to us. They definitely made sure that we felt like we were welcome and definitely took care of us the whole time.
Made sure we had food. Just very wonderful humans. Marina is your just out of this world kind.
She made me a cake on my birthday, y'all. Like, I almost cried.
Wonderful mother, beautiful human. And then Andre, you have to, okay, so Marina has to be an angel to put up with Andre.
Marina is a saint.
Because Andre is the biggest jokester. I think I said the word, what did I, nutcase. I said nutcase about 700 times because he would, the ongoing joke was that Lori does crack. She doesn't, but that was his ongoing joke. Yeah. So
we were also warned about Andre before we went. Everybody said, okay, you gotta
just watch out for him.
Yeah, there's this guy named Andre. He just jokes around a lot. He'll be okay.
He's just like,
that's just who he is as a person. Anyway, the word I would use to describe him is pill.
So, but both of them, Andre and Marina,
they're great people.
We love y'all.
So we left Zap. The preacher and Zap graciously drove us here. Him and Andre both. And then they kind of turned us over to the people who run the Domic here. Their names are Zena and Ilya. They're also super, super great. They're a younger couple, have two very young kids, Sophia and Lev. They're so cute, y'all. Lev just turned 2.
When's his birthday party?
Yeah. But through all of that as well, Sophia had got the chicken pox, which in turn her little brother got the chicken pox. So a lot of times one or both of them were off in their apartment taking care of kids. And so we have had a lot of fun with them, but have also kind of had a more limited interaction than we did with Andre and Marina at the beginning and Zap, but that's just, how the cards fell.
Gotta take care of your sick kids.
Yeah.
But in turn, we've been able to get to know some of the other people in the congregation at the church here.
Oh, it's great.
A few of them speak English. Most of them don't. So we had been practicing Russian, and, hand gestures and the tiny bit that we know goes a long way. But there is, at Domic here, there is 2 English lessons a week. So we were very excited to be able to go to English lessons and help teach English, and then in turn learn some Russian.
So around the time that we got here, the Ukrainian government had shut down all of the schools like they did in Zap. So the Domics weren't really operating at their full capacity at that point. And so we have really only had a limited view of what the Domic here is like, because all the 3 of them that we were going to are operated by different people, and so it's run slightly different just across the board. I mean, they all have the same goal, obviously, but the small day-to-day activities and stuff are a little bit different.
They all have different directors, and so it's like any organization. The different places are just a little bit different, so we were excited to be able to compare all of them and get to know everyone.
Yeah, and so we were able to go to 1 English lesson. It was a lot of fun. They were talking about animals, and so they were asking us kind of pronunciation of different words. And then Zena was really good at getting us involved as well. That was a lot of fun. But then kind of after that, all of the madness started. And so the English lessons at Domek stopped, and a lot of
really Domek just shut
Yeah.
down because if you don't have people to come, then you can't hold
Mhm.
anything. And then the rule about 10 people at a time came about. So really, we got here and were able to do a few things at Domek, and then the government said, okay, everything is shut down.
Yeah.
We had started working out with Xena. We were going to a gym. That is now shut down. There's a really good cafe close to our apartment. All dining areas are shut down.
Mhm.
So we only got a very limited view of.
But because we weren't working really with orphans or any kids at the moment, but we did have some time to spend with the congregation here in Komenskoye. It was everybody here is super great. It was a lot of fun. They have kind of like a Wednesday night devotional kind of a deal that they do. Not anymore because, rule of 10 people, but when we first got here, they did. And so one was in somebody's apartment. The first one that we went to was in somebody's apartment. And after that, they were kind of held in Domek. But those were a lot of fun, getting to know people, getting to drink tea and coffee and eating cookies with people.
We originally were supposed to be here for about 6 weeks. We've been here, I've lost track. For at least 3 weeks, we have been, maybe 2 weeks, we have been doing nothing. We've been in quarantine. No, what's it called?
Social distancing.
We've been social distancing for at least 2 weeks. So our original plan was Zaporozhye, Komenskoye, Poltava, back to Zaporozhye for summer camp that they always have with the orphans. This year, because of Corona, camp has been canceled. Summer missions have been canceled. And our job or internship is very unclear at the moment. We haven't been going to church and we haven't been going to Domek as often as really other people have, because they have a rule less than 10 people can be in a room, and also the government is very weary of foreigners. So even if there's 11 people, if we get caught in that room, it would just be very not good. And we don't know what would happen.
Yeah, I mean, governments across the world at this point are just weary of foreigners being in their country, and
even
Holli,
legally,
yeah.
We're here legally.
And Holli and I are here, and we could theoretically be here until next February and be fine. But we have just been trying to play it as safe as possible. So for the future, we don't exactly know what our plans are.
We don't know what our job or our position or our role will be.
Yeah.
We are open to anything. We want us to continue learning Russian and be able to communicate with the people here when we get out of this as best to our ability. But for the moment, we are in Komenskoye. We are staying in Komenskoye. We would like to go to Poltava. If that's not in the cards, then it's not in the cards. But yeah, our plans now are just to be flexible and, continue to show the love of Christ and encourage from social media.
Yeah.
We recorded a few songs and videos for the church congregation here, and they've been posting them on their Facebook page. So, I mean, we're doing what we can, but honestly, doing what we can at the moment is staying home and staying safe.
Yeah. So our original plan was, after 6 weeks here, go on to Poltava. As of right now, Ukrainian government has also kind of restricted travel between cities, just to slow down the spread of the virus. So we are here for the foreseeable future.
We would love to get to meet Veda and Nasya,
who run the Domek in Poltava,
and all of the people that are in Poltava. We would love to do that, and hopefully we will have the opportunity. However, we are just rolling with the punches.
Yep.
Because everything's up in the air. We don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know how long self-isolation is going to last. And the camp in the summer in Zaporozhye has been canceled. However, it might happen at a small capacity, so we might have to go back to Zaporozhye and help out with something there. So we will keep everyone updated about what ends up happening and what we are doing in our time, other than filming videos.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where we are. That's our plan / not much of a plan, and why we're here and how we got here.
Yeah.
I hope you learned something, enjoyed this video, got some answered questions. But again, that's why we're in Ukraine, how we got to Ukraine, and what we're loving about Ukraine, honestly. If you're Ukrainian watching this video, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
I hope we served y'all justice. And don't be offended by how much we didn't want to come. We are very, very glad that we are here.
We're so glad.
And we're so blessed by all of the people that we've been able to meet so far.
August at this thing called SOAR.
Last August.
Last August. It stands for, what does it stand for?
Something orientation.
Student orientation and retreat.
Okay, just say SOAR stands for,
Okay.
and I'll cut the whole mess out.
SOAR stands for Student Orientation and Retreat.
Okay, howdy on three. Shoot. 1, 2, 3.
They did. I lost my train of thought mid-sentence. Oh, yes. I'm so sorry.
Please start a new sentence so I don't have to edit that together.
No.
What were you trying to say?
My brain was working faster than my mouth. Oh. That happens to me a lot. Closed, and so Domic was
This
at a
is gonna
limited-
really suck editing. I just want you to.
Okay, well, we could restart this video. We just delete this video, restart
No, because
it.
the beginning is Ilya and Xena, and that was good.
Also arrived in Zap on a Sunday, and we were trying to get over being sick and jet lag, and we had gone on an 8-hour train ride, and so both of us were just very much not hungry, but food is a center part of the culture here. Anytime you go over to somebody's house, they ask you if you want tea or coffee and then offer you some kind of a snacky anything. And so we arrived on a Sunday and they served us borscht for the first time. We're like, oh, this is great, thanks. You know, bowl of soup. It was a solid lunch. And then they said, oh yeah, there is potatoes and chicken and salad in the kitchen if you want some. And Holly and I were like, wait, there's more? Like we're eating more than this bowl of soup?
Can you restate getting to drink tea and coffee with people and end it definitively and not?
Yeah.